Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Mario. I'm one of the admins of the FOSSASIA program with Google Summer of Code. And next to me is Ricky.
Hi, guys.
Ricky is also one of the mentors. We will have a short intro round of the mentors. I think we could also have like another meeting one time where all the mentors introduce themselves. Today is a general onboarding meeting for students of Google Summer of Code who are contributing to Open Event and related projects. So there are different components and projects here. And yeah, we didn't get like 25 people into the chat yet. I read recently that Google actually allows 25 people to get in. I see there are only 10, but we are actually streaming live on YouTube. So we also take questions of the students involved, and of course chat and everything. I think is a learning, and we will then see how things go. And yeah, next time we can have more meetings, different people inside, and we can check out how it's done. Okay, so there is an agenda here. I shared the agenda here with you guys on the different channels. Please check your chat channels. I can also share the agenda here on the Jitter channel. So you can like help with it. So let me quickly make a screen share.
They're saying your voice is echoing.
Is it because of you? My voice is echoing? Why?
My volume's off. I'm not in the channel.
Okay, let's try a moment. I want to pop out this chat. And then I will close that. Okay, so I hope it is better now. No, nope, good for me. Isuru says it's working for him. Okay, so yeah, we just try. Guys, check out and collect like any issues that we might have this time, so we can improve on the next time. But I see like a lot of people here already in the chat, so this is great. So I'm sharing the agenda here for a moment on the screen. So I hope you can see it. So we have welcome to GSoC with FOSSASIA, intro of students and mentors, status of deployments of backend and frontend apps.
Make it bigger.
Make it a bit bigger.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Reminders of responsibilities during GSoC. Wow, that's super big now. Distribution of project areas, goals for upcoming weeks, and basis of server. So the server as a basis. Questions and issues with ERD.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was something we talked about yesterday already, Ricky and me, and the next steps. So welcome to the FOSSASIA Google Summer of Code to everyone. We're really thrilled to have you here on board. And yeah, it's really exciting time, because now with Open Event, we're using it already for 2 years at the FOSSASIA Summit. We also see a few other users. Nextcloud Conference has used it. There are a number of smaller events that have used it. We have regular users of the Happy Lab Hackerspace, for example, in Berlin. And we have a lot of people who are interested in using it, but they need a few things to get done, and they need us to move to version number 2. So this this is the big goal of the next few weeks and months. And of course, like a lot of people have come up with like awesome ideas for features that we want to get in. So we see how far we go and how far we get. And yeah, so it's an exciting time to be in Google Summer of Code with FOSSASIA. Okay, so welcome, and we are really glad that you're on board. We couldn't get everyone on board this time. I mean, slots are always limited, but we also run an internship program. And generally, I have to say, you don't need actually a program to contribute to FOSSASIA's projects. You can just like participate in any way you like. So, by the way, we are here in the hackerspace in Singapore. So it's also a really good hacking atmosphere here, right?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Hard work.
Yes, excellent. So let's get to the introduction of students. I think we have like 10 students here in the chat, and I propose that we like have a short introduction round of the students in the chat. And I would like to do another meetup soon where we then have the second round of the students that are not in the chat here today, but following us on YouTube. So yeah, we can go step by step. Don't need to have everyone on board now. But let's start here. Maybe you guys can just like unmute your microphone and yeah, get started right away. Bhavish, where are you from? What is your university? Where are you based? And which project do you plan to work on here? Maybe a few facts.
Hi Mario, and hi everyone. I am Bhavesh Anand, and I am from Dehradun, India. I am currently pursuing my final year of engineering studies from College of Technology, Pandara. And right now, my GSoC project is on the back end of Open Event Server.
Okay, thank you. Hasimar.
Hello everybody, this is Hasimar. I am from National Institute of Technology, Surat. My project is based on Open Event Android. I've been contributing to it since the last 2-3 months.
Okay, thank you. Then we have Crystal here. I think real name Juan, right?
Yes, that's correct. I'm Juan. I'm in Berlin. I'm studying on the student college from the technical University of Berlin, and I plan to solve many issues for the open event. I think I can really make it. I know there are some issues, but I do think I will solve them.
Okay, thank you. And the next one, Max. I think Max also based in Germany. Max, are you there? Can you hear us? We can't hear you. Okay, let's give Max some time and move further to Nikit. Nikit, are you there?
Hello.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Nikit Bhandari, and I'm a second-year computer science student at University School of Information and Communication Technology, and I'm working on the Open Event Android app, and I'm based in New Delhi.
Okay, thank you. Then we have Pradeep.
Hi, my name is Pradeep, and I am from IIIT Allahabad, and I will be working on Open Event Frontend during my GSoC period.
Okay, great. And the next one is Saurav.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah. I'm Saurav. I'm a second-year undergraduate at Indian Institute of Technology, Patna. I'll be mainly working on the front-end server as well as the organizer app.
Okay, thank you. And the next one is Sridhar.
Hello. Hello, am I audible?
Yes, you're audible. Thank you.
So, hello everyone. I'm Sridhar Jaju, and I'm studying in Delhi Technological University. I'm currently in my third year. and I'll be contributing to the Open Event Organizers app. Thank you.
Okay, great. And Vaibhav.
Hello everyone, I am Vaibhav. I am currently studying in SGS ITS Indore, and I was previously mainly contributing to the organizer app, but I wish to contribute to the server and the front end as well. So I look forward to working on it. Am I audible? Hello? Hello? Hello?
Yes, we heard you. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thanks for the introduction. And Max, are you there now, or is there an issue with your sound? Max, can we hear you? Okay, so I don't hear Max at the moment, so we just like move on. And so we have a short introduction. Anyone who couldn't be here today in the live chat and is following us on YouTube can introduce themselves next time. And we also like go into more detail with the mentors. But I would like Ricky, maybe as you are here, you could introduce a bit like how could you help students? What's your background as a mentor, as one of the mentors? So we obviously have a lot of mentors. Many mentors are former GSoC students. And Ricky here, we have worked together with him here in the hackerspace. He has also like supported the meetups here in the hackerspace, FOSSASIA meetups, and participate in the wider open source community already for a long time.
Yep. So my name is Ricky. I was based for the last 8 years in Shanghai, and before that I was working at Google in Mountain View. So this is my first experience as a GSoC mentor. Now that I'm outside of Google, so it's quite interesting to see. I've been involved in a couple of startups, different companies in China since I've been there. I co-founded the hackerspace in Shanghai. And recently I started a new community called Coder Bunker, which is actually like a software development community. So I look forward to welcoming you guys to that community too. So my main interests, I think, like I'm happy that we're using PostgreSQL in this project. And we personally, we need these kinds of services because we organize a lot of meetups and events for Coder Bunker. So this has a personal interest. I have a personal interest in this project to make it work, to see version 2 come and be delivered and be put in production and use it. So I'll be focusing on that aspect. So I think that's it. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you. And I think this is very important that actually like this year, the project is already advanced. And as you know, like we're all planning meetups and get-togethers during the FOSSASIA GSoC. So please use your project yourself, set up events on Eventjay, and that's the best way to learn. Okay, so what's our next point on the list here? Reminders of responsibilities. So reminders of responsibilities. So we can't go too much into detail now, but like we already sent out an email with the best practices. Please check out the best practices, like basic things like matching a pull request with an issue. Yeah, things like this are very important, and we will come back to this. Also, like we have this idea of a daily scrum. Sometimes we see that people like communicate on different repositories. Yeah, there's a server repository, there's an Android repository, and you say, oh yeah, I have a blocker, I can't solve this issue because I'm waiting for something that I'm working on, or I'm collaborating with somebody on the server side. So I don't know that if I look at your issue in the Android repository, but I can see that much faster and easier if I look at your Scrum and there's some information about this. So it helps us all to stay involved. So please also read the daily Scrum mails of other people, and please send out your Scrum before 10 a.m. in the morning. The reason is we actually want to see what other different people do. Like people should be able to align with each other. So if you send it out in the evening and the day is over, I can't see what you're doing today. I can't work together with you on a specific issue, because I don't even know that you're working maybe on something that overlaps with my work. So please take this serious, send out your Scrum every morning at 10 a.m. So we usually expect like people to send out a Scrum 5 days a week. People have different ways to work. Some people say, oh yeah, I'm rather working 6 days a week because this is how we do it in India. Other people say, okay, I'm not working on Fridays because like it's a holiday in my country, but I'm working on Saturday and Sunday. So it really depends, up to you. Just keep your contributions regular, and yeah, just stay involved. So it's also okay if you have like more time one day and less time another day, but usually it's very unlikely that it works out if you just work Saturday and Sunday like 24 hours. It's just not possible. So make it reasonable, and like let's work together to bring this project forward. We have a lot of communities asking us. So I was just like in Brussels, there is the GNOME Foundation there. Always have their annual GNOME event. There's the LibreOffice conference every year. They all want to use it. They all are looking at us, what we do. So, but like, as I said, a few things are missing, and we know basically what is missing. There are open issues and so on. So let's make this work. So this much for the reminders. And I want to tell you, please post your questions here in the chat that we have directly here in our Hangout or on the YouTube. And I see already, okay, hello, I'm Saurabh. Okay, that's great. You're also communicating here. So you can also like put up your questions that you have at this point in the channel. Okay, so I'm moving on to the next point. These were a few reminders of your responsibilities, but please also like check out the links that we sent to you in the email, best practices and guidelines for the GSoC program of our community. So moving on to the distribution of projects. So we already heard some of the students who introduced themselves here, and I have a list here with the students and their areas of expertise and work that I will add to the onboarding meeting notes. So yeah, I quickly want to go through this. So we have Open Event Android. We have Open Event Front End. We have the Organizer app, which is also an Android project. We have the web app. The web app is basically a project to generate static websites that you can upload on FTP or on GitHub pages or GitLab pages, anywhere where you like. So we have people working on that, and we have the server. So I already tried to talk with you or some of you before GSoC already. Many of you have contributed a lot already to this project, but we see often that people are like sticking to one thing. Like let's say they stick to the Android app. But we actually, so actually like the Android app is great, but if we don't have the server, so without the server, the Android app cannot work. We need actually, so nobody can set up an event. We have an awesome app, but the server cannot work. And many people are interested in front end, in Android development, or even iOS development. So we need to progress a bit on the server side. And as we're using our APIs version 2, we need everyone to understand this. In our view, the best way to understand this and to move ahead is actually by being able to set up the server, the API server, and setting up the front end. Then you understand how things work together. So please, everyone, upload or install your server on the web. So I want to go to github.fossasia, github.com, yeah, github.com/fossasia, and I will go to the Open Event server on GitHub. So we have a wiki here. I want to share this with you. Share that. So I'm screen sharing that. Good. So you are seeing here the website of the API server, and there's a code issues pull request wiki tab. Please go to the wiki tab, and there you see student Kubernetes deployment. So we hope that you deploy that on Kubernetes. How do I say it correctly, Ricky? Kubernetes, yeah?
I don't know. I only read it.
Okay.
I never pronounced it.
So the Kubernetes deployment, and there is a table that you see here. It's like contributor, backend server, frontend server. So please add your GitHub username here and the links to your servers which you set up. I think this is important for all the projects that we have, because you can only like verify if things are working, even like offline on your own desktop, if you can connect to the server. So if you build your Android app, you should be able to connect to the own server that you set up. Yeah. So there are some guides here. There are some links that you can follow, and also you can have others on the channel who can help you. Generally, please communicate on the public channel of the project, because if you have an issue or a problem or something, then others might have the same challenge. And if you get an answer, this answer might also help others. So it's very important. So we have different channels. Here I would say the server channel would be helpful. So I see like a comment here of Saurabh. I think the app front-end contributors can work in parallel with server contributors by agreeing on a common API endpoint. Absolutely. So we have API endpoints here, and this is something we all can collaborate. Craystal is asking, Juan is asking, how many mentors do we have? How many mentors do we have? So basically we have a lot of mentors, but the role of mentors is like different mentors have different styles of working and different roles. Like let's say some mentors, they will not be available every day, but they are available maybe for the evaluations to look into details and like give feedback on other things. Other mentors like me or like Ricky, we are there rather regularly. So every project has at least like 2 or 3 mentors. Yeah, you can communicate with them. But again, also here, communication with mentors, we prefer you ask in public channels. Often other community members already have the answer. So for example, if we have different time zones, for example, one mentor in Germany or Singapore and like is going for breakfast, and you're just getting up and have the question, and or lunch, and all these time differences, and you wait a long time. In this time, maybe your questions could already have been answered in the public channel. Okay, so now please upload your or add your links here to the deployments that you have. And yeah, I'm going to the next question that we have here, which is the next point. Goals for upcoming weeks and the server as a basis. Ricky, do you want to talk a bit about that? We had a discussion about this already. Mm-hmm. So would be great if you can say what would be the goals here for the next few weeks. How do you see the work that we can get done in the Google Summer of Code project?
Yeah. So in the discussion, I saw that most of you guys have independent projects that are quite exciting and interesting. But in my opinion, right now, we want to resolve as a team all the issues that are related to production so that we can use it. Right now, it's not, the system as it is deployed is not usable. I think I can't get past the login. So that's definitely something to solve. Make sure that we have a strong basis, especially in the data model, to move forward and the API, so that we can then work independently on the features. So I think that's really that aspect. I think the discussions should really be around, reinforcing what we already have, make sure that we have a good deployment process, and that we we can immediately put the version 2 to work on actual events, maybe small scale events as practice, both here and in Shanghai, right?
Yeah, and we have so we have this question now. You're mainly talking about the server, yeah, but also the front end. So how's the role of people who like contribute to, like, let's say, the Android apps and so on? How can we move forward with this? Also, like, we need to decide where we want to go with the Android apps. I see some students have overlapping proposals, but you guys really were very convincing. Many of you have contributed a lot already. So we still wanted to get you on board, but we need to define a bit like how people actually work on stuff. So not everyone can solve the same issue, and also what's our priority. I think maybe we can't go into detail with everything, but I saw, for example, some put a strong focus on moving to Kotlin, but like from Java to Kotlin. But I don't know, like, if it's like the main goal right now, because basically our goal is to get something working, right?
Right.
So for Android personally, let me answer my question myself. I posed it to you, but like for Android, maybe we can actually consider that we are moving or we're making an Android project that is actually like a more generic app. Right now, the Android project is mainly like a generator, same as the web app. You generate an Android app for every event. However, like, a few things have changed during the last few years. I think not everyone installs an app all the time. People don't install that many apps. But for example, people have the Eventbrite app. Yeah. And then when there's a new event, they use this app for something to store their tickets or something like that, because they don't find it on their phone. So they just use the app. Okay, so I think that would be a direction we want to go. So the Android app should be a more generic app. We could still maybe keep the Android app generator, but for now, maybe it shouldn't be a focus. So we use what we have in the Android app and build a more generic app. So we would have 2 generic apps, same as Eventbrite, which would be a generic app for organizers. So any event, you can scan in participants, see some analytics, metrics, and so on. And another app for users, where they can just see their tickets, download data, and like check in, basically. And this all becomes possible because of our API approach. Yeah, before it was more difficult to do this because, how can we plug in? But now we have an API-centric approach. So is that something where you would agree we should go in this direction? Yeah.
Yeah, sounds good. I mean, I'm still, because obviously, as I have my own taste for like what technology we use in our own projects, right? So most of our project right now use React Native to make cross-platform application to be closer to what the web technologies. And then we also use the Postgraph file to generate GraphQL API from the PostgreSQL database. So I think the trend has moved a little bit from what we're seeing now to. So it's something I want to discuss, and I want to see, and I want to compare with what's happening in the project. So definitely it's going to be interesting for me to see what Kotlin and the other bring to the table.
So, okay, so I want to ask you now, like, so maybe should we have like a dedicated meeting or some wrap up for this with the students who contribute to the server, because we are moving now. Let me move to the next point, which was actually talking about the EDR.
ERD.
Yeah, ERD. Yeah. I always say it wrong because like we never used this
relationship diagram.
Exactly.
Right.
So we haven't used this. We haven't looked into this in detail previously. A lot of people rather come from front end. But like I got some feedback from you. So about technology, you actually said we're using an API-centric system, but we could have even used maybe GraphQL, which would have made things easier for us.
Possibly. But I think that's something to discuss with the team. And I think there's already quite a bit of commitment to the current infrastructure. So we have to see if it's even something to consider. I think my main concern still remains that since we have a nice PostgreSQL database, we also have to think about in terms of how we can do reporting directly in the database. So the model is not just something that you create and maintain and insert data using Python, but it's also something that the DBA should be able to create views and reports in the backend as aggregates and maybe expose those functionalities. So we could also have in parallel a GraphQL API to return some aggregate reporting data while the transactional system remains with Python API. So we could maybe add that on. So I think maybe my next step would be to present a little bit how at Coder Bunker we're building system now using that and see if there's any interest or I mean, I would welcome also like criticism in terms of like how this wouldn't work in this particular case or would not be a good gain on this project. Right?
Yeah.
So it could be an interesting discussion to have.
So I see like Bhavish, you are signed up also for work on the server. Do you have any feedback about this at this point?
Actually, currently I am going through the code base. So earlier provided the ER diagram was very much, you can say it was very helpful for me. And in coming days, I will be focusing on to make the V2 version of the app. So currently the code base is going through by me.
Okay.
Yeah. Who else? Like, let's go around a bit. Like, who else? Saurabh Chaturvedi, are you here in the call? Because I think we have different Saurabhs. Saurabh and Saurabh. Saurabh is not in the call right now. But is there anyone else who has feedback on this? Like, does this kind of idea help you in ERD? Do you understand what it is? Do you already have some knowledge? Saurabh, yeah, Saurabh, you're also like into the server partly. What's your idea? Saurabh Tiwari.
Okay. So there's also a question in the group about the Scrum reporting and how we use them and how we create them.
Let's get back to this later after. Yeah. Okay. So okay. Saurabh Chaturvedi, can you join the call? I think like one spot is left. Now, can you join the call? Try to join the call. What are your thoughts on that? Okay, so I see here some. I will be reading this out. Saurabh, I'll be mainly working on the server side, but I've mentioned in my proposal a few tasks which require work on front end. Good. So Saurabh then writes, there are some functionalities that can be pushed from Python code to Postgres store procedures. What's your opinion on that, Ricky?
Okay, so the thing is, I'm an old fart, right? So I'm pretty old relative to you guys, and I've been using SQL for 20 years plus years. And so for me, the database side is quite important. And the whole history is that I think like the .com in 2000 basically brought in like really bad practices where we abandoned like smart database and just push everything in the name of horizontal scalability. And I think that the disadvantages like really were tied into doing a lot of stuff that processing and reporting and in the Python, in this case, in the API side, when it could be more easily done in the database directly on reporting. And with the innovation like PostGraph file, which I can send a link later, which generates a web API, a GraphQL web API that's very flexible, based on automatically generated from the database model, it kind of makes the API unnecessary, actually. So, but the downside is like you have to deal with this SQL, which is very old. You know, it's older than me, and that makes people uncomfortable because they'd rather do Python, right? So there's kind of like this two sides to it. But yeah, we can talk more about it. I can try, like, I have very strong belief on that side, but I mean, we also have the reality that we have running projects that has been that you guys have been working very hard on for a long time, and so there's quite a bit of investment in the business logic in the API, right? So it's quite difficult to change these things, but we can maybe use them in parallel. And just my message is, like, focus really on the data, because long term, for like, it's really a data centric application, right? So data, how it's organized, how it's normalized, it's really going to decide, like, if it gets really messy or if it becomes more and more valuable, right? So that's kind of my message.
Okay, so then I have a question. So what are the next steps? Like, we can't talk about, like, every detail here in the chat, but, like, the goal is that we align with each other. So what are the next steps for students? How can they go on? I see that you opened an issue on this topic on the server.
Yeah. So there's, I think, like, it's just a question having discussion where we point out things that are maybe less desirable in the database model. And for now, we can definitely, like, just have that reflected in the Python code to fix some of those things that I think is kind of limiting us as we for the future, right? And yeah, so I think it's just a conversation we can have on the GitHub issue and in the chat that we've already started. So everybody's welcome to join that. But yeah, really the key thing, as we know, is the data is the most important, right? More than anything else. So it's quite important to manage it correctly.
Mm-hmm. Good. So, and I would like to also talk about the Android apps and the mobile apps. What I would like to see from you guys now as a next step is, like, start working together. So we already said that, like, we have a lot of overlapping topics, and please start working together. Let's make like some mock-ups for the Android app next version. Like, let's say, where we have a generic app besides the Android generator. And I would like to focus everyone on the generic app at this point, and also, of course, on the Orga app for the organizers. So that would mean, like, we can even, like, start by looking at the Eventbrite app and how do they organize things, and then see later how we can do things even much better than them. So that would be my wish for you. Please communicate on the channels. Yeah, keep up your Scrum. I saw, like, a question from Izuru about this. Izuru, was your question answered? It's better if we can talk about the Scrum reports and the use of Scrum reports. I don't know, I tried to make it clear already. So use of Scrum reports, basically, I can just say again that we want people to read the Scrum reports of others. Yeah, so there is a paragraph or, like, even, like, a whole section on how to write Scrum reports in the FOSSASIA guidelines for the program. You can look at this. There's also an example. So please always provide links. Yeah, just if you tell me, like, I read about something, yeah, I read about a certain topic, that might be important for others too. So they would ask, where did you read that? Where did you find out about that? And you say, on the internet. Well, that's not helpful enough. It's good that you find things, but please provide links to issues, provide links to your pull requests, so people can also see like you're involved in the project, you're contributing continuously. We also would like you to make daily code commits. It doesn't mean that you have to like solve like tons of issues in one day, and rather like you can also commit code as work in progress. Like sometimes people work on larger issues, and or even like issues with sub issues, and maybe somebody else is also working on something related, and they would like to see what are you doing. So please, you can label code as a work in progress, WIP, and then make a pull request already, and people can see how are you progressing. So this is very helpful to understand what you are doing. In the past, like years ago, we sometimes had people who said, yes, I was working on this for 2 weeks, and then it turned out it wasn't actually something that fit in well into the project at that time. So that would be a shame. So we want everyone also to have a good experience in the way that they do something that's useful for everyone and that's aligned with everyone's work. Okay, so are there any questions at the moment about how we can work together? Do you guys have any questions? So I see that Saurabh here has questions specifically about linking Python objects to multiple tables in DB. What about that?
If we normalize table in the DB, the ORM will become more complex or not? Yeah, so that's, I mean, I think that's the challenge, right? Like I said, the way we build system now on our side is actually not have an API server and just use GraphQL as the generic API. So I'm not too sure about how we could get both working, the Python API code and the ORM, which I also strongly dislike, but okay. Because I've worked a lot with ORMs in the past, and actually they're more trouble than they're worth, in my opinion. But anyway, that's more, yeah, open to discussion, I guess.
So
but I think we can bring some value by looking at not just what, so we can use Python to create the model and have the ORM and stuff like that, but also see, okay, on the database side, if I want to do a report across all the events and aggregate reports, it's not something that I should be doing in the Python side. I should be doing it in the database side, because that's where the data is, and that's where like SQL is very good at, is doing reporting on a large mass of data, right? So it's maybe like just having both working together.
Yeah, and I think definitely continue this. Like I always encourage people to like rather focus on the details in the issue tracker. Sometimes in the chat, people also discuss, but like, you know, if I see 80 messages and like I scroll back and something new is happening, I might miss something. So keep like the central decision making into the issue in the issue tracker, so we can refer to it later. I can say, here, look at this issue and look at this discussion. Whereas like if I say like 2 weeks ago there was a discussion on the chat channel, wow, like hard to find, right? Like where was the discussion exactly? I scroll through it takes me a long time. So chat is good, like to solve like some hands-on issues right now, and some like basic discussion. If you really get into decision making, into deeper questions, please try to move to the issue tracker, even though it feels sometimes slightly slower, but people can also like respond very fast. Yeah, is that something that goes together with your experience?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, great. Good, guys. So I think we are now at the end of this session. So like reminder of a few action items, read through again the programs guidelines, check out the best practices again, install the backend and front end for each one of you, for the Android team, and like the iOS. We also had some people interested in iOS, also in the internship program for the Android. So check out like to make like mock-ups or basic screenshots. It can be very simple at this moment. Like we can follow the Eventbrite app, so to have a generic app. And yeah, basically in the web app and front end, there are also a lot of issues. So I think it's pretty obvious what we need to do. We'll follow up on this. And then the discussion about ERDs.
I mean, the database, yeah.
The database?
ERD is just the schematics of what the database looks like, right? So I think it's helpful to look at it and figure out like, okay, maybe this is not how we want our database to look like, right? So we want to make it better, improve it.
And so next time, the plan for next time would be that we have a session with mentors who are joining. Like we still have to assign some mentors in the dashboard of the GSoC program. But I think you know our people like Shubham, Saptak, Harshit, Ayush. We have a lot of people who are active in this project for a long time. So these are also our mentors, and they are active and can support you. Generally, please also refer to the former Hangouts on YouTube that we had, for example, with Sudish, with Niranjan, who explained a lot about how to contribute and what is the role of mentors. So the role of mentors, basically, they can help you, but the code should be written by you guys. And yeah, we go forward step by step. So it's good seeing you guys here. And I wonder, who has some final remarks and words here at this Hangout here today? So maybe we start with Bhavish and just go around. Bhavish, any final remarks here for today? Is it Bhavish?
Yeah, it's Bhavish.
Okay.
So it was a nice chat with you, and I came across many of the program guidelines which were not earlier. I know because I was contributing from September in FOSSASIA. So it was good to talk to you, and I came across many of the steps from which I can follow along, and this was the main part, and I'm looking forward to contribute as much as I can in Open Event Server.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to Hasimar.
Hi, Mario. Me and Nikit were having.
Please increase the volume a bit.
GitHub channel.
Okay, Hasima, we can't hear you so well, but I heard you are on the Jitter channel, so that's good. I think we just move on to Nikit then. So good to see you, Hasi.
Regarding that Cuban error reporting in the.
Okay, some reporting in the Jitter channel. So Nikit.
Okay, hello. So I guess he was trying to tell you that there were some problems in the deployment of the Kubernetes. Like there was some error, I don't remember, right? Like the deployment was done correctly, but still the endpoint wasn't reaching. Like 5 or 6 of us were trying to deploy it, but everybody was getting the same error. So I guess we can have a discussion what the error is and if previously somebody has deployed it, so he can tell us. I tried to contact some people, they were also we deployed it a long time back, so we don't remember, right? So we can have a discussion on what the error is.
The deployment issue is with the front end that doesn't reach
kind of like that. It's in the deployment of the server. There are some errors in the project. In the console, you can see the errors, but the deployment is done correctly. So I'm guessing some.
I mean the staging site on Heroku is not working, right? So there's something broken.
Yeah.
For everybody, so that needs to get fixed. So it's not just I don't think it's instructions or deployment step. It's actually there's a discrepancy between the front end and the API that we need to fix.
Yeah.
That we can all.
So another issue that happened in the past was that some people just directed the front end to work with the backend that was set up on the FOSSASIA Heroku, whereas I think everyone should have like a front end that works with their own backend as well. Otherwise, you always depend on the backend of FOSSASIA,
absolutely.
right?
Just
so
environment's quite important. Right?
Yeah, so that you can set. So please make sure that you set actually the front end to work with your own backend. Yeah, and I know that like a number of people had issues also to set this up locally, because we want like that people can actually install the project on their own laptop and walk around and go somewhere maybe where they don't have such a good internet. So these are issues that yeah, we need to solve here as soon as possible, so everyone can work with it. And also, for example, you can have your Android app and connect the Android app with the server that you set up on your own laptop, right? Generally, if you do that with Kubernetes or another way, that yeah, you have to check that out, what's good for you in which case. Kubernetes is very important for us in order to scale up the project then as soon as we go really into production.
Okay.
Right.
So the other thing I think Mario, you added right on the repo where you were asking people to list out their deployed front end and back end, right?
Exactly.
So that's kind of the homework right now, is to get to a point where the front end and back end has been deployed by everybody, and it's actually linked so that we can validate that it is actually happening, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Does this make sense? Do you understand that, Nikit?
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. So let's work together on this, and it's good that we have like people with different backgrounds. So I hope we are able to solve that as soon as possible in the team. Yeah. Okay. So I guess we follow up on this then, and I would go to Vaibhav then, who's the last one here in the chat. Vaibhav, any final words from your side?
Mario, the Kubernetes, I'm actually currently exploring the Kubernetes, so I haven't really deployed it yet, and I plan to deploying it today. Another question about the design and mockups that you brought up was recently I tried out the Adobe Experience Design software, so for prototyping. So would that be okay if we try mockup on that, or what design software should we use? Like should we really use some design software, or just we need some basic mockups? Do we need a prototype type of thing?
Well, no, we don't need a prototype. So the first step, I want to understand your logic. Like, for example, like Eventbrite already has some logic. I mean, there are some open source projects, they say, oh yeah, we have to do everything different, different technology, different colors, different design, everything different. I think I don't have this kind of view. I mean, like the established players already invested a lot of time and designers and effort. We don't have like the designers who have 20 years of experience in the community, unfortunately. So we could
okay, so
yeah, so we could follow that.
Yeah.
However, if there's big traffic with you, yeah, in the background. So if there is any other idea, for example, we also have
you are not audible. There's something wrong with the voice. I don't know. Hello.
I think it's the feedback and maybe background noise in your at your home.
Okay. No.
Let's turn off the mic for a moment.
Okay.
So basically, yes, that we can follow them, but we also have some features that, for example, Eventbrite doesn't have. How do we integrate them? How do we make it work? So maybe first, like a very basic version, maybe also using some of the features that we already have in the Android app generator, and then move on. I hope this is okay with you guys, because I tried to talk with you before, like things keep changing a bit, but like we don't want anyone really to feel like that they now have to do something completely different. So yeah, so the basic idea is that we work together and bring the expertise and the projects of the different people together now and see how it goes. So we really need you two guys to work together.
Yeah, but I think to come back to the point of using Sketch or Adobe InDesign or things like that, I think it's a good idea to spend time thinking about the user flows, right? Because my experience actually with Event EA so far was that all the functionality is there. It's kind of hard to navigate the UI, right? So I think spending some, and I think that's going to be one big weakness in the team is we have a lot of good engineers, good developers, but we don't have so much of a designer to drive this. So I think it's something that we need to pay attention to individually and maybe reach out to other people to help us, right? If you guys know designers that could pitch in or review or give us some suggestion, I think it's if you guys are very, very good at front end, then I think, yeah, step up and do the mock-ups and make suggestion on the design is a good thing.
Yeah. So generally, of course, we prefer free and open source tools, but yeah, we're not in this black and white world. So try something that works for you. One thing that I haven't pushed yet for a lot this year is usually like we request people to work on Linux in the FOSSASIA GSoC. It's like mentioned in the guideline, mentioned at many different points. So I think I want to mention that again. And so there are many reasons for this. One thing is, of course, we are free and open source, but we actually did have issues where people then like develop something on Windows, and even though it's like all the same, then suddenly like there's one small thing. So one thing that we encountered, for example, last year, where we already asked everyone to develop actually on Linux, one thing that problem that we had is like capitals and non-capitals, for example. So there was this one issue that we had a really hard time finding out a few months ago. Case sensitivity. So that was something, and like we didn't know why is it working on this machine or on this machine, and why is it working here and there. So there are differences, and we want to keep like a consistent development environment for everyone, and we want that it works for everyone, and we don't want to spend time to figure out why it doesn't work on this machine and it works on this machine. Look, guys, online we will always be deploying on a Linux machine. We will hardly ever deploy on a Windows machine. So please make sure that you use Linux for your deployment, use it for your daily work so we can work together more easily. So I think we're already at an hour now of the conversation, and there are lots of points to follow up in detail. But the important thing is also get started, solve issues, contribute code. We could like obviously discuss forever, yeah, what technology, what endpoint, how to make this button or that button. What we actually need very urgently is more users. We need the users. We need to see how users use the system, what they do on the system, and so on. So if you have an idea that kind of works, then go ahead. If it helps us to get onto the stage where we can actually deploy version 2 and get the users, also like it really motivates us if we have users. So there is not always like one perfect way. There are often many ways, and like something turns out even perfect later on, and we couldn't even imagine it. So like contribute code, get started, set up the systems, and we do and have a fun summer and something that we can show to the world at the end and already during the summer. So that will be fun. Okay, thanks for joining. So we'll soon come back with another video cast here with mentors, which we plan. We will have more video casts with the other GSoC projects, Pocket Science Lab, SUSY AI, SASPA, LogLag, and looking forward to see you guys again. Any final words from you?
No, I think I'm really looking forward. Like you said, like it's going to be a very useful system. It's quite exciting to be part of this development and such a large team. So it's a great opportunity for everybody to learn, including myself. So looking forward to it.
Okay, thanks guys, and follow up on the channel. See you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.